And then to add, just click on that little paper.
Hello, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me well. And so let me introduce myself. My name is Iveta, and I'm presenting from the Midwest Genealogy Center in Independence, Missouri. So this will be East European genealogy presentation, and you might maybe even think of your ancestors and predecessors that they might talk slightly maybe similar way because I am from former Czechoslovakia. Now it doesn't exist. It is now Czech Republic and Slovakia, and it belongs to these kind of countries as you can see them on the map. So your ancestors might have similar accent. So let's go. If I can go further, sometimes I have issue with moving those slides. Oh. I don't know what happened. I cannot go to the next slide. Okay, that took me a big strength. So here you can see map of countries. They might belong to Eastern Europe. There is still debate, I would say, like which countries are part of Eastern Europe, if you take it politically, geographically. And there are brick walls, some kind of different brick walls than when you do, for example, French or British research. On one side, I would say like research is slightly easier because they usually started to come later to the United States, for example, and also to other countries. So then there were already more records created. Government wanted to create like more detailed records, so that's a good thing. On the other side, there are still other barriers. Language barrier. You need to deal with obsolete language even in those countries, like which is not used anymore. Then there were constant border changes, new states created, and also people changed their names. So we will not spend that much time with history because we want to hear the genealogy part of the story, right? But you just still should understand maybe why those people left. So when you take care and study that history, so you will understand that better. Many of these countries, they were created after World War I, after the collapse of Austro-Hungarian Empire. And some of these ethnicities, they were Slavs. Actually, most of them, they were Slavs. And if I zoom in, I will show you like Poles, Czechs, and Slovaks. They were West Slavs, Belarusians, Ukrainians, Great Russians, East Slavs, and South Slavs, Croats, Slovens, Serbs, Bulgarians, okay? So emigration started to be much later than, for example, those Germans from Palatinate or from British Islands. So like I said, then in one way, it is easier to do this research because records were more detailed. So mass emigration was primarily from 1880 until 1920, and primarily for economic reasons. What also played a role there, that there were traveling agents, ship agents, railroad agents, as railroads developed in Europe and also in the United States, for example. So it was much easier than travel and then also to the inland of the United States. And these kind of agents also from various companies like steel companies, mines in the United States. So those played significant role as well as they were traveling those communities and lured kind of those people to emigrate. So many of these people, they even first they consider to be like kind of birds of passage, that they will just come here, earn some money, and they will come back home. So, but then eventually many of them, they stayed. Sometimes they came back home, brought the bride, and then they started to like live here. So this was something that curtain just to possibly wake you up, but that would be still too early. I hope you are still very fresh. So there are 4 main things to know before you go to explore those foreign records. First, it is the best if you know the original name of your ancestor, because many times they change the name later to have it easier. Then also that current and that complete detailed place of origin, that is a key point in German, Central, and East European research, because records are not centrally kept, they are kept still locally, on the local level. So you need to know that parish where they walked to the church, and then closest town where possibly there could be that permission to emigrate. Another thing, it is good from finding from the US sources the birth year. You can find it on the US Census, for example, if your ancestor was consistent, giving that birth year, because when you go to those European records, you want to find the birth record of your ancestor. And it would be even better if he already brought the bride with him, so then you can even check for his marriage record there. And then it would be even better if even their, for example, first child was born on the old continent, so you have even another source to double check. You have your ancestor, because trust me, here his name might be like very unique, but when you go to those church books in these East European countries, you will see in that particular community, there will be many people with the same first and last names, possibly even with the same birth year, but they would differ at least by birth month. And for that, it is very important. It would be the best if your ancestor would come here before 1900 census was taken, federal census 1900. I love that census because that was the only US census when they had to list the birth month. And they remember that. That was always correct. Birth year might not be correct, but birth month was. And it doesn't hurt to know also the religion of your ancestor, although later they might change religion. For example, from Catholicism, they would go to Protestantism, but usually those, if they were not Catholics, they would stay with the same religions. Okay, so then it was primarily your ancestor who many times changed his or her name. And why it would be for easier for him maybe to exist here. And also your first name, for example, is very dear to you. So if he would like to hear at least a similar sound how his parents were calling on him, like in German, it would be that Rufname, that call name, usually the second one. So he would maybe change the spelling of the name so people would at least call him slightly similar way. So I give you example on my first name, Iveta, but if I spell my name Yvetta, I'm sure you will say my name correctly, Iveta, not Iveda or Iveda, and that way. So that would be that reason. But also some names might be really hard to English speakers like to pronounce when you have CZ, SZ together, for example, for consonants. So they would maybe, instead of that, use later TSCH, and so people would know like, oh, okay, it should be something like ch or sh pronounced. And also teacher might encourage Yeah, it's hard to spell your name for me, so so that would be sometimes the case. And when you see female names, like don't discourage that that is a different family. Female versions are different many times. Usually they would end with A at the end, pronounced like A. And for last names, it could be that A at the end, or it could be for Czech, Slovak, OVA, which would be pronounced OVA, and that indicates definitely female on the paper, so you know definitely that was a female. The same with those like German female last names, that they would have that IN at the end, pronounced in, and you know that definitely it is a female, not a different name. So, and maybe all of you or most of you already know the place of origin. Like I said, that's the most important thing. And if not, so then you should find from the sources where they settled in that country, where they settled. I don't know if you watch us or joined over the Zoom, because this is a hybrid presentation. People are also in this room in person, physically present, and also people who joined us online. So if people from these countries, for example, from Croatia, former Czechoslovakia, came to Australia, and you are watching us from Australia, so you should first start in the search in that country where they settled. And definitely they should create some kind of documents and check the first church they attended. Many times that priest would speak the same language. What was also good, you always should keep in mind that they didn't speak English. Not like today, young people speak better English than me when they come here, but they did not speak English. So they would like to cluster to be living close by, work with, go to the same church with people who spoke the same language, or at least similar language. Like, for example, my first language is Slovak, but I can consider second first like Czech, but I can figure out also Polish, for example. So they would even, Polish would be good. A lot of Czechs, they spoke German, so they would like to be living as a cluster with these people. And so check for those work records, who always lived close by, who was a godparent, who was a witness for their marriage of their children. So those would be people by blood related or by marriage related. So, and then when you go to those records in those countries, possibly also through familysearch.org website, first go for church records, and if they came even later, for civil records, if they are available and accessible. Because in these countries, like there, we might be slightly spoiled maybe with those US federal censuses, so it was not that many. So then for that, I put it in bold here. Church records and later civil records are the best. Even those church books were later moved to civil registry office, which is usually in the city hall. So then when you plan maybe one day to visit those places, you can even write short email before your visit to city mayor. So he will prepare possibly that book for visitors, local chronicle, you can sign in. But then priests, they usually created duplicates, like 2 books, and you can still find those church books in some parishes, okay? But 1 copy they would then give, because it was mandatory to give to these authorities in that civil registry office. Later, these books would go to city archives and later to regional archives. So you have still some places to go and explore records, and those records are there. In spite of the wars, those records are there. I will show you some. And in many of these languages, especially those Slavic languages, we have similar word, matrika, metrika, even with German language too. So that is like that civil registry office, when somebody like just says like, I need to get for my marriage like copy of my, or I lost my marriage certificate, marriage license. So people just send you, go to Matrika. So, and everybody knows where Matrika is. So it is in that city hall usually. So here is like how to find those places. Already I spoke about some. You have even more ideas here. And also I already mentioned that census 1900. Then for your immigrant ancestor, also very good is census 1920, because that was the only census when they had to, let me, from current slide, zoom in, when they had to list the year of naturalization. Okay, so it is this: citizenship, year of immigration. Check in those 4 censuses I listed on this slide for consistency, if they always gave similar year of immigration. Then if they were naturalized, and if yes, they would provide also that year of naturalization. But yes, sometimes they didn't. But then you can go for the naturalization record. As a direct descendant, you can then also, you can ask like citizenship of immigration, like citizenship services, USCIS institution for providing you possibly copy of that naturalization record, where would be listed that place of origin. Okay, and so later they came those passenger lists. Those were much more detailed. They were much better, because there was also last residence listed. And so for that also, please check those immigration lists. For example, that Bremen passenger list, that one from Bremen, primarily those from 1907 and later, those are preserved, and they list the last residence, because they would primarily go from Bremen or Hamburg, but sometimes even through Antwerp, and but mostly from Bremen and Hamburg. And that, so I will show you later that website is Bremen passenger list, because the last residence was listed. So, but keep in mind that in these countries, and for example, Poland and Czech Republic, they have many place names with the same name. So then it is good if you find from some other sources even another place. So then work always with a map, and where is that other place, like if it is nearby, and so to know that district. And it takes some time, but we cannot have everything immediately, right? And also, for example, if they came from Galicia, which doesn't exist anymore, but it was part of Austria. So there is this website, HALGAL, like HAL stands for Halychina, HALYCH, I think YNA. So that's the same for that former Galicia. Now part is in Poland, part is in Ukraine. But when Poland was carved between those 3 empires, German, Russian, and Austrian Empire, so this part belonged to Austria. And for that, don't be surprised, or don't be that sometimes people say, like constantly they want to say, no, my ancestor came from Austria. No, because that it was that Austrian Empire, and you need to think like which territories were part of Austria. But always check, for example, in that US Census or those passenger lists, like read them all those columns, because that will reveal what was that person's mother tongue, what was their parents' mother tongue, or how they felt, like what language they spoke. But for example, this is passenger list from 1913. So you can see this says Austria, but here, for example, you can see Ruthenian, but it was under Austria. And what is great there, that last column even reveals to you that person, the closest relatives who still stayed at that point in the old country. So usually they would list father, mother, or sibling. Many times those siblings, they would even come here later. If they listed sister, sometimes you would see her passenger list later, and she would be listed in the passenger list that she's going to join her brother. But if you cannot read that a place of origin very well, so you have then, you can double check, like if you don't know, is this Ryglice, R-Y-G-L-I-C-E, so that you can even check here again, like, okay, so he left behind father, Stefan Leszniowski from Ryglice. So you have again, like that other option to verify if you read that place name right. And here is example of that application to be naturalized, or so-called first paper, because please try to find that so-called first paper application to be naturalized, because that was very detailed. There was always the name of your ancestor and even his birthplace, and for example, his wife, his children, everything is there. So it's really great. And some of these you can find also on fault-free website after September 1906, as a federal government took over naturalization and citizenship services. So you can click, they have actually even linked for genealogists. And there are also some societies, and they are growing in the whole United States or other countries. Check for their records, check for their indexes. I really like that one project from University of Lincoln in Nebraska, because, for example, they created, here is the link provided, if you have Czech or Bohemian ancestor. Don't forget, usually when they listed, I came from Austria, so many times they were from Kingdom of Bohemia, which is now Czech Republic, because not many Austrian came here. So usually they were from, like, now Czech Republic. And look at this. So they show like Czech settlers, and they go by counties in Nebraska, but even partial Kansas. And so, for example, here, Karel Brim. And so from village, I think it should be Kozlov. So then what is the closest town and county? So you can double check when you work with the map if you have the right place. So, and then locate that place on the map. And I recommend also Wikipedia, because on the right side, it gives you, so here it is enlarged, it gives you like where those records will be, because your place might not have church or like closest parish it would show, or district where will be more records, and those civil records. Like in this case, actually, this is my birthplace, and now it belongs under Trenčín County. But you can see this is Jasenica village, and it doesn't say that much in English version. So always check for other languages on the bottom left. And even don't be afraid to click also on Deutsch. All these languages are written in their names, how they say their language. For example, Germans, they say we speak Deutsch, right? I hope you can see it here. And so even that, when you click on that Deutsch version, German version, it gives you much larger article larger article about history, how that place name even maybe changed the name, because this Jasenica before it was spelled J-E instead of J-A, and that was my issue as just Census 1930 was released for Slovakia, so it constantly showed me Jasenica in different area of Slovakia, because at the time when that census was taken, actually that place was spelled J-E-S-E, so differently. And this gives you, when you switch to those other languages, that historical part much more detailed. And then also check Magyar, which stands for Hungarian. Because many of these places were part of Austro-Hungarian Empire. You can also, for part of Poland, which was part of Russian Empire, switch to Russian language. And then when it shows you possibly even in the Russian alphabet called Azbuka, then click with right-clicking on your mouse, translate to English. When you already would have that large article, then click with right-clicking on your mouse, translate to English. Okay, so hopefully, and maybe you all already know your places, but maybe you have ancestors from other countries, so this works for your other research as well, for example, for German as well. So I would recommend then, I think the easiest way for you, it can be to start with familysearch.org website. It is a website for genealogy research of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Salt Lake City, Utah. You can also go there possibly because they might have like microfilms there on the shelf or in their vaults. And we have also some microfilms of some parishes here. You never know. You can give us a call and you can reach that website 3 ways. We have also special class about this website. So don't forget possibly to visit, register for that class. So 3 ways you can reach that website for your family, for your village in any of these countries. You can start with Wiki. Think of this like Wikipedia for genealogy. You can also go to search on that website, click on catalog, and by default, it will show you a box window for place name. So type that place. If nothing shows up, work with the map. What was the nearby place? Or, you know, maybe from that history of that place, that church was not there at the time. So then type that nearby town. And that way you can work with that. And don't worry, we will go live when I will go to one point, and then we will go live through those slides. I just don't want constantly to switch between these links and my PowerPoint. And so if you go to Family Search Wiki, it shows you a small box window where you can write, for example, type Polish words. If you decide to write to parish, to like a clerk of that parish, so you can, for example, write Polish letter writing guide, and it gives you it gives you options of sentences, and you can pick up just particular sentences and combine the whole short email you can first write, for example. And you can also verify it with, for example, translate.google.com, but always attach your English version. Now we have it much easier. I would recommend to first write to any of these places, either parish, either mayor, village mayor, or either to archives. First short email, inquire by that first short email. So, and you will see they will possibly guide you where you can write. You can also possibly write, or just your first visit when you come to that town where your village belongs. Go try to find their, how to say it in English, like their visitor center, something like that. There is always that kind of like a tourist information office. So they would even possibly have those family like village lineage books on the shelves, and they will be even happy that somebody wants to buy that. But they will know from their memories. I still know, I lived there for many decades. I can say, and I still can say when somebody mentions some last name, so I can say, oh yeah, they lived up north, like these kind of like family surnames. So those people who will be in the tourist information office, they might even tell you from the top of their heads, like, oh yeah, those last names, they were usually from this valley. You need to go south or west. Okay, so that may be some ideas if maybe one day you want to visit those places. And so then there are some countries like easier to approach than the others. Czech Republic, I would say it's the best because they put their archives completely free online. You don't need to create any account. And it is just Czech Republic, when you look at the map, is divided to more regional archives, and each archives has different approach, but each archives has always English version, and it can be done. You will see, as you will be working more with your records, your eyes will adjust to that handwriting also, and when you even use the help of our books here, some available for checkout. So then by time you will even know some words, what they mean, and it will be easier and easier. You will see, and especially that feeling that you are like that family translator and detective. Then Poland follows. There are many volunteers, and they try to put more and more records online. They started to put a lot of those civil records for German populace in that Poland part, like online, so which is good. Also, don't forget that the records for Czech Republic for some decades, they were written in old German script, using also completely written in German. But then for some time period, then they used old German script, but old obsolete Czech language. So you really need to also learn also that old German script. So, and it is, if you have those Germans, they settled in various parts of so-called Eastern Europe, for example, Banat, Bessarabia, which doesn't exist anymore. So you need to deal possibly even with Russian language, but also German language, because they created their own records. And so you really we need to work on that. But I think it's good because, yeah, I think many of us, we like to learn always something new and educate ourselves the whole life. What can also help you, we have upstairs one book which tells you any country of the world you wouldn't think of it exists, and where they keep record for that country, where they started to keep civil records. They give you even embassies email, embassy's phone number, which is free. You will see that embassies in Washington, New York. It's really great. It is yellowish book, like format, almost like 8.5 by 11. And it's great. We actually bought another one. So it's available for checkout. And also, if you are searching for military record, because you heard your ancestor was an officer in the army. So until 1865, those records might be in Vienna archives. Later, for example, for Czech Republic, they would move to Czech Republic. There was even for former Czechoslovakia, Trnava archives, but also for these other countries, Czech Vienna archives, and those are online before 1865. Here I'm just giving you the links for archives in the Czech Republic, and it's really excellent. So some can be easier than others. What I saw in various discussions, for example, there are various social media groups. They will even help you to translate your record from your language completely free. Those Facebook groups, Facebook genealogy groups. And for example, for Czech Republic, some people say like South Bohemia, this DIGI, like digitalization, České archivy, which stands for Czech archives, that's the best. It was the first one online. And yeah, there are those websites behind those links, but you can just type to your web browser because you have it in your handouts. Just type 2 words, for example, acta publica. You don't need to, for example, type that .cz or .hu, which stands for Hungary. After that, just split these words in 2, and I am sure definitely when you type it to your web browser, it will show you those first links on the top. It will be one of those going to those archives. Like, for example, this Prague Regional Archives. This E means like online, Badatelna means like research room. Is that mine? I don't know. Where is this coming from? Okay, so so maybe I thought like if it is somebody online, we just hear our music. I don't know if those you join us online, if you can hear that. So what I like on the Czech websites, there is actually, let me hide floating meeting controls. So here actually, if you go to this website, Portal National Archives of the Czech Republic, so then all those archives will be like for your view. You can see them all there with all those links. Okay, so then all these, I have those links straight to the archives. You can see them all to view them through this link as well. And if I could go further, I just hit enter and I again cannot go to the next slide. So is that possible? Let's
use the arrow for that.
Yeah, I tried even that one. I tried arrow, I tried enter. I'm sorry, I apologize, but I somehow cannot go further from this slide. Finally, that took a while. I used a mouse. So for Poland, you can see there is even their main archives link, and actually maybe some of you attended my Polish class, which has just happened in February. So this is their main website, but also here search in the archives. So you can start from that one, and then those main websites, these are very good. They are part of this genealogy, like genealogy.pl. So that is the main website. I like that one because then you can go just to that particular province or principality or voivodeship, and then you will see how many records are already there online. So like I said, like Poland follows Czech Republic with that amount, how much is already online. And then there are other countries, like for example, some Polish, but also other neighboring countries, their records, they may be combined under website which has that ending .pl, which stands for Poland, like this one. But there would be even those parts, they are part of Ukraine, for example. And why? Because there was a in the past, like Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and it actually was from Baltic Sea, down south. So for that, you may find some records, because like I mentioned already up front, that boundaries changed. And so here I would like to show you, for example, how those records look, those online. So we will go to this link. And here I would like to also mention that, for example, those Russian archives, if this doesn't work for you when you type eastview.com, what I also discovered, it worked here, but at home, if I went through Firefox, then I just typed exactly what I advised you already. Just type Eastview, for example, just Eastview and another 2 words, Russian archives. And then it showed me that there is a website, and it was exactly that, abb.eastview.com. So possibly if this doesn't work, you can try that one, abb.eastview.com. That ABB, that stands for Archaeobibliobase. Okay, and some of these websites might not work in the library, but I checked them at home. So, and I went through Firefox, and they all worked. So maybe in your local library, some of these websites might not be working well, but as I checked them from my home computer and I went through Firefox, all of these, you can see on the screen, they all worked well. And for example, here on this one for Ukraine, I even checked by my last name, and without that ova at the end, and there was a record for somebody with last name Blahut, which is our family name, and it showed me if I wanted the record, it costs like 1,000, I believe 950 Ukrainian hryvnia. They have currency, so then you can go to like a money converter, and it showed me it is about 50 euro or $50 for that record if I want to check that. So here is also, I added one website, Pamiať národa. RU stands for Russian. Pamiať means memory. Národ is a nation. So memory of the nation. And this is a website primarily for World War II. And so you can check if they were soldiers in World War II. So that is primarily for that. So then I would just go here live, or check some of these websites. Okay, let's go new share and screen. Let's see, but I should click first, maybe link. Okay. Right, I should first, let's see, stop share, and let's go. Oop, I didn't want that. Share screen. Okay, let's go back to my PowerPoint again, because I want to go to this website. I hope it will show up. Okay, and now let's new share, and okay, I hope everybody can see my screen. If not, please let us know. So this is that website, and inventarze, it is like indexes, and it is a Polish website. This means like księgi metrikalne. You can see like those books from like Matrika office online, so you can go to evangelic like Augsburg, so those would be those like Protestant Lutheran, Vyznanie Mojžešove, that would be Jewish records. And actually, oh yeah, we can even go to English. And so then you can also go by this, so Roman Catholic or even those Orthodox parishes, and then actually you can go to those records. Okay, so for example, let's go to this one. And you will see how that looks. And so it's, you can see it's a lot. I don't know where I am now, but let's try. In many of these countries, there is the same word, very similar word, and it means white. So it can be bieli, biali, biala, bili. So it all means like, right, like Belarus, maybe you know, like that means white Russian, because in those Slavic languages, Biala means white. Oh, here it even translated that. It shouldn't translate, I think, those place name, but yeah, it translated, because then you cannot find maybe this village because it translated, but it is actually Bieli Kameň or Biali Kameň, which definitely in translation it is white stone. And so then you can see, okay, so you can then go even further this way if you, and then finally you will go to those gallery with scans. And there are those original records, scanned, digitized, completely free. Okay, so for example, here you want to have this place, Bielavce, and for this time period. So you can see, okay, you can click gallery with scan, and here they are. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, so this I wanted to show you. And then what else I had there? Here, this is for that Bremen passenger list website, what I have open, like you can see the place of origin for your ancestor. So for example, let's say Novak, like very common last name in many of these languages, because that means like newcomer, Neumann, Newman. And you can see, for example, this Adam Novak on what, like which ship he came, and then you can see that the last residence. So, and that you can see. Okay, so then what else I have here? So here I have open also website for Matricula. That is one of those slides, Matricula online. Some of these countries, they have records online. You can see Germany, Austria, Poland, Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, which was part of former Yugoslavia after World War I. And then Slovenia is there as well. You will just enlarge that country and you can, for example, check if you have those Slovenian ancestors. You can see which parishes are there. For example, then you, as you click more and more, then it constantly will divide until you come just to those particular churches and those records, and you can see where is that camera icon. You can actually see those records. Okay, that church book, front page, and all those records. You can check first pages of that church book and last pages, or sometimes if it was small village, in the same church book could be birth, marriage, and death record. So records. So go inside of that book and possibly after that first part, for example, after birth records, there might be handwritten indexes of those births. Okay. So then here I have another website open, Hungaricana. It serves for more of these countries because they were under Austro-Hungarian rule. So then you can just go to this website. You can just type to your web browser Hungaricana without anything else, and then I'm sure it shows you that link. And then you can even see databases going this way, or just scroll down. You can check maps, or you can go to the archives. And what is good on this website, that they have that urbarium there, urbar. And for example, this one, Urbarium 1767, as Maria Theresia from Habsburg dynasty. So she wanted to know in her lands that urbar is actually like a registrar or documents showing what those subjects what they needed to do for their feudal lord, what kind of obligations they had, like what they needed to give them, for example, in like either like animals, like in that, like we say naturalia, like in products, for example, what they would need to give to that feudal lord. So let's see if I write here, let's say, Veres Vargas, let's see. You need to know those places, how they, for example, or Slovak places, and possibly from like former Yugoslavia, like and other some like part of Romania, they would have also those Hungarian names. But there are also either Wikipedia or various websites, like they will guide you what was that Hungarian name. For example, this place is in, we call Šariš. Part of that Šariš was also in Poland, and this is now in Slovakia. And then you can actually go to that book and see those records there. So you can see the names, and actually I think it is really readable. So what you can see there. Okay, let me go back to PowerPoint. Here we are. I want to just double check. Okay, so here is that Ukrainian website, what I already mentioned, that be prepared possibly to pay. In spite of situation, I would say Ukrainian archives, Russian archives are working. All these links are working, so you can still explore even those Russian archives. Okay, so let's try to go to this link. And let's see, new share. And so you can see what is there. Major update adds like millions of records to the largest World War II soldier database of the former USSR. So then you can also read blogs, what is there, what kind of free databases are there. So this is that website. I'm not going to those other ones because some I couldn't open here, but as I already mentioned, you shouldn't have any problems at home. Okay, so let's go back. And this is for Slovakia and Croatia, because the best approach for Slovak and Croatian records is to go through Family History Library, or it is now familysearch.org through their websites, And so I will show you also how you can go through that website. But here I would like to point out, if those watching us also online, if you have those Slovak ancestors, there are current counties and former counties. This is excellent. It is really very good, and it gives you all those also Hungarian versions. And So that is very helpful. And this other website, iabsi.com, it serves well also for those Carpato-Rusins, former Galicia, part is now in Poland, part in Ukraine, and here they have very good articles and links also for military records. So if you are interested also about history, check for all that area because it is Slovakia and beyond, I would say, okay? So military, history, culture, very good. Okay, let's go. Where is my now slide? No, isn't this one? Okay. Again. So, and this is because, as I mentioned, like many of these countries, they were part of Austro-Hungarian Empire. So some records, like for example, for Czech Republic, but also for Austria and Germany, I already showed you also for Slovenia. This is very good. Poland is coming, but slowly, but check periodically this website because it is free and it is for Catholic records. So check always once per few, like a few months always, and Catholic records are coming to that website, okay? Yeah, and then that hungaricana.hu, which stands for Hungary. So I already showed you that urbarium from 1767 there. Then there is also a website for Central Hungarian Archives. Yeah, this is that English version of Hungarian, but they would say Magyar, M-A-G-Y-A-R. So you can find that somewhere as well. This website stopped working. So then I will update that. I thought like if possibly sometimes those websites, they are renewed again, but it was very good like in English, but still very similar. You can find on that one what I showed you just a few minutes ago, that IABSI under that military link, or you can just, that I mentioned as well, dismantle these two more words, Austria, no dash, another word, Hungarian, and then army, and you will see maybe some new versions, like similar style, like that one it was in English. And then for some of these countries, there is this place name gazetteer, like place name, dictionary or place name, gazetteer. So genti.at. AT stands for Austria. So I have my own free account there. It is without any advertisements, created by Felix Gundaker from Austria. And actually this website was listed among the best European websites. On the periodical, we receive Family Tree magazine. And because it gives you all those versions of that place name and also archives where those records for that particular village are, which archives contain those records. But primarily it is for Slovenia, Austria, Germany, and Czech Republic and Slovakia. But I think it will be expanding, so it doesn't hurt to check anytime later. Then many of these people, they stopped in Austria, in Vienna. They even, for example, a lot of Czechs, like former Kingdom of Bohemia, they went to Vienna for work and then eventually decided to emigrate or stayed there. So we have even Vienna phone books from 1970s. When you open that book, you see a lot of Czech names. So, and there are passports as they would travel, and these passports were scanned and digitized by Family Search, so they show up on their website. So then You can check periodically what's coming also on that familysearch.org website. And also, if they would be, for example, Jews would be going for that, they would be merchants. They would stop in Vienna for their trade, selling goods. So then you would need to, and actually this system still is in these countries, so you need to register with police if you want to live somewhere, if you are there more than 3 days or 7 days. So, and these so-called police registration cards, they were filmed as well, and they are on Family Search website. So check periodically if your country and these records are there. Okay. And then, yeah, I love this picture. It is headquarters of German, like American, like Historical Society of Germans from Russia. Maybe you know generally Germans from Russia, like a subject, I would say. So you might have your Germans who didn't go in 1700s to America, for example, up by Rhine River, and that way to emigrate in 1720s, 1750s. But family could split because Catherine the Great, her himself, Germans in Germany, she had the name Sophia, Princess Sophia. She was originally German, but she accepted Orthodox religion, and she invited those Germans to territories they were freed after Turks and Tatars, and actually be some kind of also like that bumpers. And they would have a lot of privileges. They could keep a language, keep their records in original German language, their religion. They would be not obligated to go to military service. So they would be free of military service. So they had these kind of like various privileges, and they would go east. Actually, more Germans went east. Many of them, for example, from Hesse and from former Baden, because now it is one state, Baden-Württemberg, they would go up north to Poland. They would stay even in Poland for a while, and then they would go through Poland to, for example, settle in Crimea, by the Black Sea. So there is, you can see even that website, Black Sea Germans. Or they would go from Poland to Bessarabia, which doesn't exist anymore, but now part is in Ukraine, part is in Moldova. And so then they would live there. We have also books with indexes of these Germans who were in former Bessarabia, for example. In those places, they would have even those German names. Those places, many of those, they would have even first word alt, and then, for example, alt Beutzel, because then you know there would be alt and neu, like old, that place, that original place in that in that German settlement at the time, like Russian lands. And then there would be even daughter colony. So that would be the neu, like new settlement. So there could be two places, two communities. One would have word alt and one neu, like new in German. And so this is headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. For this society, they publish also periodical we receive here. And I so much like that picture that I asked for their permission to use it for my PowerPoint, and they gladly gave me that. So thank you again very much if you are watching. And so then there are, you can see this is the same but different websites. Volga German Research, but also Volga Deutsche. .net. If you go to this one, then just click with right-clicking with your mouse and you will see translation to English. But all these links are great. For that, I really needed to offer you these, because then you have time forever to explore them. If nothing shows up when you type, for example, glickstahl.net in that second row, so then just try, separate just the word Glickstahl. Or you can see even by that adding that letter E, that there was originally that umlaut, those two dots above letter U, so that it could be with that umlaut without that letter E. And, or for example, just do Bukovina, another word, society, and I'm sure it will show you somewhere on the top of those search lists, this website, Bukovina Society. If nothing shows up, bukovinasociety.org, just do two words, Bukovina Society Genealogy, or Germans from Russia after that. And I am sure the right link will show up there. Okay, so then let's click, for example, this one, Black Sea Germans. So, and here you can see Black Sea German search. So then you can even search database of more than 600 trees. Then you can even do, for example, here is Paris, Bessarabia births, or here is that Altpostal I just had lately, somebody. So from that, so you can see current place name now, Malo Yaroslavec. Yaroslav is many times like first name, and this Malo would mean like small. And so this is Altpostal in German, and it is Tarutino parish. Now it might be this Malo Yaroslavec maybe under different parish. So for that, it is good to check with Wikipedia, or just type to your web browser, Malo Yaroslavec. You can even type former Altpostal, former Bessarabia, and then it will show you each, usually not each, but many of those. So they have their own website presence, villages. So you can just look for that. If you know country code, country ending, so you can even type your village, for example, Malo Yaroslavec, dot, and now current country code. So for example, for Poland.pl. If that doesn't work, you can even add, for example, go to translate.google, type in English, community, and then it gives you that translation in that language, how they say for village, for town, or for community. And then you can add that word in front of, for example, for Czech Republic, for Slovakia, you can type, if I use this example, although this is in I believe now in Moldova, so then you can type Obec, O-B-E-C. Obec means like community in Czech or Slovak, so I could play with that and type Obec, Yaroslavec, and that way, yeah. And then that and that county, that country ending, okay? So, but you can see this is index of those names, and you can then verify if that last name, Esslinger, for example, Jacob, like Jacob, and his wife, like if they were there, and then you can go for those records, possibly write to the archives, or check family search if there are those records, okay? So then let me go back let me just double check here what is on the bottom. Okay, so here is also a website like society of those German from Eastern Europe, and there are some vital records are also online. So please check definitely. I think this is like a phenomenon, I would say, like Germans from Russia, if I can say it like subject or category. It's so huge, but so much is already done by those volunteers in those various societies, also through the United States, that I think it would be really great, maybe just a class on its own, like separate class just for these German colonies in Eastern Europe and also Russia, because yeah, it's huge and it's great. So what I wanted also to mention when I see this, that one son could go east with his family. They could go also to those like Saxons, to those like 7 mountains in Sieben, Transylvania, which is now in Romania. So those like old Saxon, they settled there. So they could go also in that bottom part, like through Austria, Hungary, and that way Banat, like Germans in Banat area. So there are so many communities in Slovakia. There are still some Germans, they speak that old dialect, even maybe current Germans wouldn't understand that much, because they started to come east from 12th century. So, and they created those communities, for example, in Czech Republic, those Sudeten Germans, they were not just those like by the border with Germany, where I lived as well, but they were called those Sudeten Germans, also those in Eastern Bohemia, part of Moravia, which is inland when it was one country of Czechoslovakia. So that was part of that area as well. And so they created communities everywhere, every town in Czech Republic, Slovakia, every village, they had those German names. And for Slovakia, which was like Upper Hungary, they had also Hungarian or Magyar names. So it's really such a broad subject. So it's we don't have that much time, but I wish Iveta would go further. Let's try this way. Okay, so of course then there are other helpful links and websites. So for example, this one started like for Eastern Europe, but they started to add so much that I believe, except maybe Great Britain, you can find everything. Scandinavian records, Scandinavian countries are there covered very much as well. So you can just go to that website, feefhs.org, and just click on the map of that particular country, and you will see what they have available. So pretty much like a big part of Europe is on that website. Then My Heritage Library Edition, because we have a subscription to this website. If you have a library card with the Mid-Continent Public Library System we are part of, you can reach this website, My Heritage, from home for free. And why I want to point it out, because when you are attending this class, I presume you have that so-called Eastern European ancestor, or even those Germans from now maybe current Germany, like Central Europe. And so primarily Europeans contributed with and they submitted their family trees to My Heritage, okay? So then if you have a library card with us, you can reach this website on remote access from home. So there are many people like from Europe, they contribute to this website, and they have their family trees, including even those from France, for example. So don't forget to check that website. And then also I found, and for that I'm listing it here, this website, difmoe.eu, which stands for European Union, because there are coming from various countries newspapers online, and a lot of also German newspapers, so for Central and Eastern Europe. And because they want to unify those records and that access and approach to those records, so then you can check periodically if your country is already there, and just type the name, last name of your ancestor, and what shows up, okay? And try various like varieties of spelling of that name. Then if family search doesn't help, check that website for local archives in these countries, and then possibly contact them, but be specific. If you already found the records, if they already have those archives online, you found already, because last names are written larger, more beautifully, they are legible. So you already found that line, that column, everything for your record, but you cannot read it. It is handwritten. So then if you access those various groups on social media, they will gladly help you. They will translate for you the whole record, sometimes even more than you asked for. So you can also check that, like there are various groups on social media websites for Eastern Europe, for Germans, like various countries, so you can check that. And then again, always check if your village possibly has a website, like website presence. You can type your village .npl or .sk, which stands for Slovakia, and even they could have Facebook page. They might not have like their official website, but they might have some enthusiasts. They put like pictures when there are various community celebrations. They put pictures on Facebook. You can even, I did that. I reached the village of from my mother's side, and I approached them through Facebook Messenger, and they immediately responded. So they even sometimes put photos, old photos. Can somebody identify who is there on that photo? So you never know. And I found also on some villages, they even put online their chronicle. So it's great. Yeah, I know it is handwritten in that other language. Then possibly maybe you can invest to find some translator, or just because they show like by time period. So maybe you just need to translate just small portion of that chronicle, because many times they have on the side of those pages, they have years written, sometimes even those last names or last names inside of that chronicle are written larger. So your eyes will be trained, and you can also, you can recognize that. And also what might help you for reading those Russian records, for example, there was that website VGD, I believe .ru, which stands for Russia. VGD, that means like that genealogy. D stands for Derevo, which means literally, like in my language, it is drevo, in Czech, drzevo. So it means like wood, so like that family tree. And yes, they are in Russian, but believe me, I checked all those links you have in those slides. I checked them at home. They show up in English, and perfectly. As more and more people also contribute, for example, also to translate at Google. So it shows you synonyms for words, and those translating tools are now much better. So, but they showed also that English version. So you can really move even through those Russian genealogy websites, and those people, they will help you. There are message boards. You can submit your request, and somebody can answer. Okay, so that is for that. And for like here, I already mentioned the translation help. Steve Morse he has even for your Germans, because they would keep that record, those records in German language. Steve Morse has a website where you can go to foreign alphabet. It is one-step web pages, his website. Find on his website, foreign alphabet, go to all German script, and then you can even click to current all German script and all those various versions, Sutherland, and you can even type your ancestors' German last name, and it will show you exactly how it was written in that old German script. It's beautiful, it's excellent. You can even try your name, how it looks in that old German script. So play with that website, it's really great. I always show it also on those German SIG sessions I do quarterly here. But last two websites I want to show you is Zsofia Federovich, which has translation of those records, and then family search. Okay, let's go to Zsofia Federovich website.
Here's your 10-minute one before we end class.
Okay, so we are almost done. Let's actually, hold on, I lost my your screen sharing, new share. Where is my Zsofia Federovich share? So here is like you can go to birth records, and so she shows you exactly those handwritten Russian records, how they were in those records. So for that, I wanted to show you her website. And the next website was this one, Family Search. You can go to all records, find your country here, click on that country. Other way, you can go to search, go to catalog, and type, for example, that Bialy Kameň. So you can see here is Galicia, for example, Bialy Kameň, search, and then check if there are church records, because those would be the best. Okay, and their last link is that wiki, where you can type, for example, Polish words, and it will show you just those words, they show up in your records. So that's that I wanted to show you. And then let's go back to my PowerPoint. And here I'm listing those books. They really help you. They helped also me. They are really very good. This Central European, it has many Hungarian words. So that is really helpful. Latin, but also some German. So I took photo of those books. They really might help you. And then also we might help you if you come here. All right, so there is our building. Periodicals, they can react to new situations even much faster than books. So we still receive these from various ethnicities, periodicals. So they are on our shelves. You can always contact us and check with us if what we have. So, and here at the end, I would just like to say that nothing is impossible. It can be done. We just need to be patient and have time. So, and we can always help you. So I'm wishing you really success in your East European research. And let's say a few greetings in these languages. So powodzenia in Polish, good luck. It is not exact translation, but how we would say that. Good luck, sretno, filglik, like in German, udači in Russian, mnoho štěstí in Czech, veľa šťastia in Slovak, or here on the bottom, sok szerencsét should be there, I think, in Hungarian. And so please feel free to contact us, write us, call us, and we are here always ready to help you. Okay, so that's from me. And then thank you very much for attending, for listening. And now I would like to ask if there are any questions.
We have one online. Okay, so in one of the slides, you referred to the Vienna police registration cards. That says 1850 to 1928 and then FHL. So they couldn't find that collection on Family Search. She was wondering if you meant the Austria Vienna population cards.
Like passports or those registration cards. So
Yeah.
let's go, we can go new share. Let's see, this is my screen, but I need to, maybe I can go this way. Okay, so here is actually that website. So you can go to search to catalog and then type, let's go type like either keyword or subject. And if that doesn't show up, so I would, let's see, Vienna. And then let's see like what is here, like under Vienna. Yeah, if you need to go, like, of course you can. It's the end of the class, so thank you for attending. For those online, just like some people already are leaving, just you can know. And so let's see, census, taxation, voter list, ethnic, political, religious, institutions. So we could go to police records. So if I don't know like what you were searching for, but there are so many. So let's do Vienna registration. Maybe if nothing shows up, so you can also check by German language. So let's see, update. And here they are, Vienna population cards. And there should be also those passports somewhere. So it might be under more categories, and you know, as every website is constantly updating. So you might explore even under ethnic, then also under institution, migration and citizenship, but also always check under other. So you can see here are death registers from 1600s, for example. Yeah, marriages of British citizens abroad. Yeah, so there, oh, here are actually those Meldekartei too. That is in a German language. Melde means like, this is like that civil registry office in German. When you see something Meldezettel, Meldekartei, and also now I can say those Germans from so-called from Russia, they didn't come all to the United States, for example. Many, they returned back to Germany and they needed to show that, yes, we are Germans. So they needed to show up actually like 3 generation chart. And that is also on this website, on that family search. And it is under EWZ. Okay, so this Melde, here you can even see in German language that Matriken, Führung, I told you about that word Matrika, this is like civil registry office, Führung, like it will guide you through those repositories, through that collection, what's available, Matriken Führung. But here is another Führung, but here is Melde, means like that civil registry office. They would need to register with police. But here I can immediately then show you under keyword that EWZ, which stands for that Einwanderungszentralstelle in German, EIN, E-I-N, Wanderer, Wanderung, that means similar like wander in English. That means like that immigration records. So, and you can explore them through family search, click on search, go to catalog, and then click on keyword and type EWZ. and then you can find those records of those so-called Germans from Russia who came back to Germany. Possibly later from Germany, they could be in some kind of maybe camps or some like communities, they would take care of them, and some maybe later they would even join another generation who emigrated to the United States previously from, for example, Germans from the Black Sea Germans, so-called. So one family could come here because always there was somebody like a group of those from that community who would explore the land in the United States, buy the land, and then community from those, for example, Black Sea Germans, they would come to Dakotas or Kansas, but some they could come back to Germany. Yeah, any question from the audience? Yes, please.
You had listed or talked about a website,
FEE, not FEE, FA. Yeah, that is great one. And would you just show it or? Okay, FEEFHS.org. I would like to have it actually added, including Jewish Gen, to our list of recommended website, because this is coming like more and more. Oh, I need to maybe show. Oh no, I'm actually those online. I think you can see that too. So you can either go to resource directory map and see what everything is covered. You can see like most of Europe already is covered. For example, then you can go to Ukraine and see those resources, or Romania and go to their website, their flag, and even for example, about that country, CIA World Factbook, so you can find, so this is their website, but there are not just like going to resources, they have also that link, Germans from Russia, but you can even explore religions, Hutterites. Those were those like Mennonites and Jewish, then regions, Banat, those Germans, they lived in Banat, in Germans in Bukovina. So yeah, they have a lot of great stuff. So for that, I'm listing it in that PowerPoint. Okay, so you can even watch their video, how to maybe guide around that website, but it is for all these countries, and even you can see even more, all Scandinavia. Any question from the audience online? I think they are all tired maybe already. And I'm glad you are still here. You came to the very end with me. So I already greeted you in some of those languages. So let's see you in some other classes. So you have our contact info, and thank you again for attending. All right. Thank you. Goodbye.